Now, I thought I should practice my editing skills by introducing beautiful continuity the way any self-respecting filmmaker would do. But that's not how my morning in the workshop went today. So I've decided, what the heck, I'm going to put these clips together in the order in which they actually happened in my workshop. Hope you enjoy them. I have a couple of things to do in my workshop today. The first part is to grind some wheat to bake a loaf of bread. And this is my Wonder Mill Junior that I hand cranked for a long time, and I finally got lazy and rigged up an electric motor for it. I ended up turning this big pulley on my lathe, making a steel bracket to fasten it to the mill, and I keep this half-horse motor under the workbench, and I can just plug it into a power strip over here, and I'm ready to grind. Took me a while to find a container that could actually catch all of the flour that spews out of the grain mill. And then I found this bucket of yogurt came in. I don't know, I guess this is about 2 gallons. But it's the perfect container to catch the flour. And here's how it goes. I wanted to mention I get this wheat from a family farm in Montana, and the wheat is called Prairie Gold. It's a favorite of people who grind their own flour and bake their own whole wheat bread. I'm a bit embarrassed about buying wheat from Montana and the carbon footprint when there's a granary nearby in Skowhegan, but their heirloom grains sell for $4.50 a pound. And Wheat Montana sells Prairie Gold for 50 cents a pound. I wish I could justify the differential there, but for the time being, I'm going with 50 cents a pound. Well, it seems my workshop program has turned into a cooking, baking program. So that 2 cups of Prairie Gold wheat turned into 4 cups of very fresh flour. So I put half of it in the bowl, pour in half a quart of body temperature water that contains a tablespoon of yeast, and I stir that into a sponge. A while ago I used to put some honey in with the water and yeast, but it really didn't seem to make much difference, so now I just use water and yeast. So once I've stirred all the lumps out of this, I'll let it rise until it's about doubled its size, and then I'll add the reserve 2 cups of flour that will have 2 teaspoons of salt and 1/8 of a cup of really good olive oil. Now the reserve 2 cups of flour with salt goes in, and the 1/8 cup of olive oil, and it all gets blended together. All right, once it's all blended, I dump it out on the counter and get the little bit that's left in the mixing bowl, and then I kneaded a bit. It occurred to me as I switched from showing workshop projects to baking bread that Some of you who are watching this channel because you're interested in workshop things might wonder why on earth I switched to a baking topic. And I wondered that too. But then it dawned on me that the workshop things I do and baking bread are both about making things. I just love making things. And I can see in the future there will be more things on my channel that aren't workshop and aren't baking, but will be about my joy in making things. This dough is a little bit wet, but I think I'm going to go with it anyway. Punch it down into this pan. Then I'm going to throw in a little bit of, ooh, I have some half and half. Using half and half just because it's in the fridge and it's going to go sour if I don't use it. And brush that half and half all around the top of the dough. Maybe it'll even be tastier that way, I don't know. And then go over to the cupboard where I keep a jar of raw sesame seeds and sprinkle sesame seeds on top, and the half and half will glue those pretty well to the dough. Then I let it rise for about 15 minutes. And then pop it in the oven to bake. While I was waiting for that bread to rise, I started this project that Linda asked me to deal with. It was a little dresser of hers that was unfinished furniture, and it never did get finished. So she asked me to sand it and put a coat of finish on it. So while the bread rises, this is what I'm doing. Oh, that's horrible. Start over. Okay, the 15 minutes are up, and it's time for this loaf of bread to come out of the oven. This is my method for cooling it. All you need is the bread pan. Okay, this is the project I really wanted to work on today, but it's going to really stink up my workshop. It's Bondo, which is a polyester resin. And I realized I needed a loaf of bread and wanted to sand Linda's dresser, and I think there was something else in there, but I'm finally getting to the Bondo. It says to mix a golf ball sized glob of the filler with 1.25 inches of the catalyst. So here we go. This project is to fill the voids and dimples and dents in the keel extension that was the subject of my first workshop video. So the casting has been sitting here waiting for April, and I finally got around to carving out some time to mix up this Bondo. If you look in the nautical catalogs like Hamilton Marine, it will be called fairing compound. And it appears that some of them are part of an epoxy system, which no doubt would be superior to a polyester system. But since it's just going to be a thin coat on the face of this casting, I'm assuming that this Bondo will do the job just fine. So I'm going to spread a coat evenly over both faces and the front, and then once it hardens, I'll sand it because I want everything on this keel, everything on the underbody of my sailboat to be just as smooth as a baby's bottom. Or if any of you viewers have a better cliche for smoothness, please let me know in the comment area below. Okay, I think you've got the idea of what I'm doing here. No sense in making you watch the whole process.